Today we're diving into the complete history of The Elder Scrolls Online, from launch all the way up through 2025. Whether you're new or returning to the game, this is your ultimate ESO catch-up video, packed with the details on all of the major updates and game-changing features that we've seen added over the last decade. Welcome back, heroes of Tamriel. I'm Cal, and if you've stepped away from The Elder Scrolls Online for a while, or maybe even since launch, a lot has changed over the years. This video walks through ESO's full history, year by year, so you can catch up on what you've missed, and see how those changes have shaped the game today. Now, I didn't start playing until the Season of the Dragon, so this was a bit of a history lesson for me as well. Let's dive right into it. Going all the way back to the beginning, ESO launched in April 2014 as a subscription-based PC MMO. Built on a traditional in-game model, with veteran ranks, alliance-locked questing, and progression systems that aimed to blend classic MMO structure with the open-world spirit of Skyrim. It's hard to imagine Tamriel without level scaling and the freedom of One Tamriel, but in those early days, the path through the game was much more rigid. That first year brought Update 1 and Craglorn, ESO's first and only adventure zone, designed specifically for group play. Updates 2 through 4 expanded Craglorn and introduced the game's first 3 trials: Helra Citadel, Etherean Archive, and Sanctum of Phidia. These are 12-player large group PvE encounters that set the stage for the in-game raiding scene. We also got a major character customization feature in the form of armor dyes, an important addition to the character design toolkit. In that first year, Craglorn and those original trials were ESO's first taste of high-end PvE, and trials remain a core pillar of competitive PvE today. While the Craglorn trio isn't as popular as it once was, they're still fun to blitz through, and some of their gear sets are still worth farming, a testament to ESO's modern design philosophy that even 10-year-old content can hold lasting value. Moving into the second year, 2015 was a turning point. ESO dropped its mandatory subscription, rebranded as Tamriel Unlimited, and launched on consoles. This optional subscription model lets you keep playing even if you pause ESO Plus, while still offering rewards for subscribers. Update 6 also brought massive core systems, still central to the game today: the champion point system for max level progression, the justice system, and the legerdemain skill line, letting players pickpocket, steal, launder, and sell stolen goods. It finally brought that Thieves Guild style gameplay into ESO, although the guild itself wouldn't arrive until later. Crafting writs were also introduced, becoming a daily gold maker for many players out there. 2 massive DLCs also arrived this year: the Imperial City, ESO's take on a PvPvE zone with 2 new dungeons, and Orsinium, a massive new PvE zone with an epic orc storyline, setting the stage for future chapters. 2015 really cemented ESO's core progression systems, gave us 2 of the game's largest DLCs to date, and showed that the game could thrive without a mandatory subscription, while bringing the experience to consoles. 2016 followed that up with the Thieves Guild and the Dark Brotherhood, 2 iconic Elder Scrolls factions, and ESO's first new 12-player trial. The Thieves Guild took us to Hughes Bane and introduced the Maw of Lurkaj. Dark Brotherhood returned us to the Gold Coast, letting us explore Anvil and Kvatch. We also got new dungeons with Shadows of the Hist, adding 2 Argonian-themed dungeons. But the real game changer came in October with One Tamriel. Level restrictions vanished. From the tutorial onward, you could explore anywhere, tackle any quest in any order, and group with anyone, regardless of alliance or level. Dungeons got veteran modes, zones were rebalanced, new item sets arrived, and Cyrodiil saw adjustments. Nearly every system was touched to make it more compatible with the new level scaling. One Tamriel might still be the single biggest change in ESO's history. It made the game truly open world in a way that's rare in MMOs. I will admit though, it can be a double-edged sword. The freedom is incredible, but it can also leave new players unsure where to go next or how to follow the story in order. Still, this is one of the features that makes ESO stand out among its peers. With One Tamriel fundamentally reshaping the game's structure, 2017 built on that momentum. Homestead arrived, introducing 39 homes to collect and decorate, and became one of ESO's most beloved features. The Morrowind chapter followed, one of my personal favorites. Vardenfell was the largest zone ESO had added to date, packed with nostalgia, collectibles, and a story that captured The Elder Scrolls III's spirit. It introduced the Warden class, a nature-themed support fighter that nailed the Hunter-Ranger fantasy. Battlegrounds were also introduced and gave PvP fans a fast-paced, small-scale alternative to Cyrodiil, and the Halls of Fabrication trial added new group challenges. Horns of the Reach brought 2 more dungeons, Bloodroot Forge and Falkreath Hold, while Clockwork City introduced a unique story zone, the first mini-trial, Asylum Sanctorium, and the transmutation system for fine-tuning gear traits. 2017 sort of set the modern content template for ESO. One big chapter, a mix of smaller DLCs, new trials and dungeons, and systems updates. Housing, transmutation, battlegrounds, and the Warden class remain key pillars of the game today. 2018 marked the start of a new, predictable yearly cadence for ESO. That big chapter in the spring, 2 dungeon packs, and a smaller story DLC to wrap up the year. We kicked things off this year with Dragon Bones, adding 2 new challenging dungeons, Fanglair and Scalecaller Peak, and the long-requested outfit system, letting players completely change the look of their gear without touching their stats. The Summerset chapter followed, finally opening the long-closed borders of the High Elves' homeland. Players could explore a massive new zone, take on the Cloudrest trial, and dive into the secrets of the Psijic Order skill line. This chapter also introduced jewelry crafting, a game changer for build flexibility, making far more set combinations viable than before. Daily login rewards were added, and a higher CP cap was also introduced, rounding out one of the most feature-packed chapters yet. Later that year, the Wolf Hunter DLC brought 2 more dungeons, Moonhunter Keep and March of Sacrifices, along with a werewolf-themed story. And finally, Murkmire closed out 2018, taking us deep into Argonian culture and adding the Black Rose Prison Arena. Cyrodiil also got new destructible bridges and mile gates, shaking up the PvP map. While 2018 didn't quite match the seismic shakeup of the previous 2 years, features like jewelry crafting, the outfit system, and the Psijic Order skill line have remained important parts of the game ever since. 2019 was a big year for me personally. This is actually when I first started playing ESO. Also marked the game's first ever year-long story arc, the Season of the Dragon. Things kicked off with the Wrathstone dungeon pack, including Depths of Malatar and Frostvault, which led directly into the Elsewhere chapter. Elsewhere introduced the Necromancer class, the vast zone of Northern Elsewhere, and epic open-world dragon encounters. Sunspire arrived as the new trial, bringing both intense boss mechanics and a new challenge for veteran players. The mid-year Scalebreaker DLC added 2 more dungeons, Lair of Marsalok and Moongrave Fane, alongside some quality of life improvements. The year wrapped up with Dragonhold, which brought us to Southern Elsewhere and concluded the Dragon storyline in cinematic fashion. This was also the year that Cyrodiil got Volendrung, a Daedric artifact that spawns randomly and grants its wielder incredible power, often flipping the outcome of entire battles. And for housing fans like me, the Hall of the Lunar Champion was a standout, a new home with 4 unlockable wings tied to your progress in that year's content. I'm pretty nostalgic for the Season of the Dragon. The characters, the dragon fights, and the Necromancer class were all standouts for me. Necros remain one of ESO's most visually distinct classes with mechanically unique playstyle. Even today, the Necromancer skill lines are a popular choice for many subclass setups, but we'll talk about that more later. 2020 brought us the Dark Heart of Skyrim. The year began with the Wrathstone dungeons, setting up the events of Greymoor. This chapter took players to Western Skyrim, introduced the Kind's Aegis Trial, and opened up the vast underground zone of Blackreach. It also brought the Antiquity system, which added treasure hunting and mythic items to the mix. Stonethorn added 2 more dungeons, and the year wrapped up with Markarth, expanding into the Reach and concluding the vampire-themed storyline. This might actually be my favorite storyline in ESO. The setting is fantastic, and the story was a great experience to play through. While the Harrowstorm world events don't quite match the epic scale of the dragon encounters from Elsewhere, they still provide a worthy challenge. Most importantly though, the introduction of mythic items changed ESO's gear system in a major way, offering powerful, build-defining set bonuses and giving players long-term goals. The 4 dungeons added in 2020 were also among the most complex yet, featuring secret bosses and power-ups that encouraged exploration and replayability. Though the total content volume slowed down a bit compared to previous years, the Dark Heart of Skyrim content seemingly acknowledged the growing veteran player base looking for fresh challenges and character development options. The Greymoor chapter also reworked the vampire skill line and introduced precision editing for housing, which gave players much greater control over their home designs. The Markarth DLC finished the year by adding a second solo arena, Thadashron Hollows, and the item collection system, commonly referred to as the sticker book. This system lets players add gear to a collection to recreate later, freeing up bank space and removing the need to save rare pieces indefinitely. It was a very welcome, player-positive, and game-changing addition. Ultimately, antiquities and mythic items revolutionized ESO's gear progression, providing new goals and powerful rewards. The challenging dungeons and fresh systems introduced in 2020 showed ESO's focus on keeping veteran players engaged with meaningful content and innovative quality-of-life improvements. In 2021, ESO returned to the Daedric realm of Mehrunes Dagon with the Gates of Oblivion story and the Blackwood chapter. The year began with the Flames of Ambition dungeons before sending players to explore Blackwood, including the cities of Leowyn and Gideon. This chapter introduced the companion system, providing huge support for solo players by making more content accessible without having to rely on a group, while also helping smaller groups tackle tougher challenges. Blackwood also brought a complete overhaul of the champion point system, with champion levels increasing to a whopping 3,600, also introducing new champion skill trees. Alongside that, ESO saw reworked armor passives and penalties that changed how players designed their combat builds. In addition to all that, the Endeavor system was added, allowing players to earn Seals of Endeavor from daily and weekly activities to purchase Crown Crate items for the first time without having to spend any real money. The Waking Flame DLC introduced 2 more dungeons with fresh challenges for veterans, while the Deadlands concluded the story by opening new areas in Oblivion itself, including the eerie city of Fargrave, a personal favorite of mine. Deadlands also added the Armory system, letting players save different gear and skill setups for quick swapping between builds, greatly enhancing build flexibility. But perhaps the most significant change came with the introduction of curated item set drops, removing collected items from loot tables to guarantee unique drops and reduce the grind. Overall, companions became a cornerstone for solo and small group play. The revamped champion point and armor systems gave players more build freedom, and the armory system itself streamlined role switching. Most importantly, the curated item set drops transformed loot acquisition, guaranteeing unique drops and reducing the grind in a way that continues to benefit players today. 2022 began with the Ascending Tide DLC, which introduced new dungeons, but more importantly, brought a seemingly small change to damage calculations that had huge repercussions. Known as hybridization, this update made player abilities scale with the highest offensive stat instead of just magicka or stamina. This meant that both magicka and stamina builds could now use just about any skill without sacrificing damage output. Obviously, this shook up the meta, causing nearly every build to shift and explore new skill combinations. The High Isle chapter followed, taking players to the Sisters Archipelago and introducing the Tales of Tribute collectible card game, along with a deep dive into Breton politics. Later, Lost Dungeons added new dungeons beneath Tamriel Seas, but also brought controversial combat changes that aimed to reduce the gap between average and top-end players. Attack weaving and damage over time spells were significantly nerfed to rein in DPS at the highest levels. Finally, Firesong concluded the legacy of the Breton storyline in Galen, uniting the druids against a common enemy. High Isle expanded nearly every system in the game, including new mythics, companions, and the Dreadsail Reef Trial, while Tales of Tribute added a fresh in-game pastime that has been expanded over time. However, the real legacy of 2022 probably lies in hybridization and the combat changes from Update 35. Before Ascending Tide, most builds were forced to specialize strictly in magicka or stamina skills to stay effective. Now your choice between magicka or stamina is largely about preference and resource management, with combat rotations shaped by these core combat system updates. 2023 brought us the Shadow over Morrowind storyline. It kicked off with the mystery-driven Scribes of Fate dungeon pack before moving into the Necrom chapter, which took players to the Telvanni Peninsula and the shadowy realm of Apocrypha. This chapter introduced the Arcanist class alongside the challenging Sanity's Edge trial. Notably, ESO didn't release a second dungeon DLC pack this year. Instead, it launched the Infinite Archive in Q4, a roguelike, replayable PvE instance featuring infinite waves of enemies and a vast array of unique rewards. From the start, the Arcanist emerged as a somewhat overtuned and wildly popular class, quickly becoming one of ESO's strongest and most beginner-friendly options. The Necrom chapter also expanded on recent systems, adding new mythic items, more companions, Tales of Tribute decks, collectibles, and houses. Meanwhile, Update 39 focused mainly on performance improvements and quality of life enhancements, making 2023 feel a bit lighter on content, but perhaps a bit stronger under the hood. The Arcanist has solidified itself as a powerful, accessible class, while Infinite Archive provides endless challenges and an alternate path for players to collect some of the rarest items in the game via its rotating vendor, Filer Ul. Although new content was lighter than in previous years, the quality of life updates and performance tweaks laid important groundwork for the future of ESO. Then, in 2024, ESO continued to evolve with bold new content and systems. The year began with the Scions of Athelia Dungeon DLC pack, featuring a Sword Pit and Bedlam Vale, before moving into the Gold Road chapter. Gold Road introduced the vibrant Westweald Zone to ESO, a new Daedric Prince, skill styles, and the somewhat innovative scribing system, which allowed players to customize a variety of combat abilities. Later in the year, 2 smaller updates arrived. Update 43 launched home tours, making it easier to list and visit other players' homes, and significantly expanded the Infinite Archive. Update 44 brought the visually refreshed two-sided battlegrounds, offering new rewards, but generating mixed feedback based on the combat experience. This update also introduced the Golden Pursuit system, which provided another way for players to earn in-game rewards. The scribing system gave players unprecedented control over certain abilities, deepening build customization, while skill styling evolved into a fun way to personalize skill appearances while revitalizing older content. The Golden Pursuit system has also helped bridge the gap during slower content periods. Near the end of 2024, ZeniMax announced a departure from the long-standing Chapter plus 3 DLC pack content schedule. So far in 2025, we've seen 2 new dungeons released with the Fallen Banners update, visual enhancements to the base game zones, and the introduction of the island of Solstice along a brand new subclassing system. Update 46 delivered a major overhaul with the subclassing system. This allows players to mix and match skills and abilities across hundreds of possible combinations by swapping out up to 2 core class skill lines or skill lines from other classes. While ESO has always offered tremendous freedom in combat builds, subclassing has turned that dial up to 11. Although this shift has resulted in a somewhat less diverse meta, it has also unlocked an astonishing number of options and variations for most players, all while significantly raising the damage ceiling. This surge in power has certainly shaken up the game, and balancing has already proven to be a major challenge. Despite the hurdles we've seen so far in 2025, subclassing has dramatically expanded the potential build diversity, giving players countless unique and interesting combinations to explore. Looking ahead, Q3 will bring 2 new dungeons with the Feast of Shadows pack, followed by a new world event where players will work to destroy the writhing wall that currently splits Solstice in half. This will then set the stage for Q4, when we finally get to explore what lies beyond the wall in Eastern Solstice. It's been a turbulent year for ESO, with major shakeups both in-game and behind the scenes as everyone adapts to the new Content Pass system. Wow. That is a lot of info to take in. And when you're actively playing the game, it's easy to forget just how much ESO has changed over the years. After 11 years of updates, Tamriel is a very different place than it was way back in 2014. Most of the map is filled in, and the game has continued to expand player freedom when it comes to combat. Hybridization, transmutation, reconstruction, the sticker book, curated drops, mythic items, scribing, and now subclassing have all pushed the limits of what your character can be. At this point, the only real limit left in ESO is your imagination, though your performance may vary. And it seems that same design philosophy has carried over into player expression. The ever-expanding collection system, armor and weapon dyes, the outfit system, hundreds of houses, and thousands of furnishings that have all been added since launch now give the heroes of Tamriel endless ways to customize their character and leave their mark. It's that freedom and the tools for player expression that always keep me coming back for more. Despite some rocky patches along the way, I'm looking forward to the conclusion of the Seasons of the Wormcult, and I'm excited to see what the future holds for ESO in 2026 and beyond. With a new executive producer at the helm and a renewed commitment to the game from ZeniMax, I can't wait to see what's next. And in just a few days, after Update 47 drops, we'll get to continue the story on Solstice. But that's not all. To celebrate Update 47 and the upcoming Writhing Wall event in Seasons of the Wormcult, I'm giving away a bunch of 2025 content passes, and this time for all platforms, PC, PlayStation, and Xbox. To enter, just leave a comment below telling me your favorite addition to ESO over the years, along with the platform you play on, and that's it. I'll be picking winners at random the day before Update 47 launches on PC, so be sure to get your comment in before the end of the day on August 17th in 2025. I'm excited to hear what you love most about Tamriel's evolution over the years. So that's ESO's entire history to date in one video. If you've been away for a while, I hope this caught you up on everything you may have missed, and maybe it even inspired you to jump back in. I hope you all have enjoyed this video. Be sure to like and subscribe if you haven't already. I will, of course, be returning soon with more ESO guides for you all. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you all in Tamriel. Bye for now, everybody.